GC, who was dressed as like a gas station attendant in blue khakis with a matching shirt, and I started out to steal a car. All eyes were on me tonight, but I felt no nervousness and no hesitation in any of my actions. This was my rite of passage to manhood. I took each order as serious as an African who was an initiation ritual for childhood to manhood. GC was the expert car thief among the set. Gone in 60 seconds could have been very well patterned after him. He had learned this technique from Marilyn, our old homegirl who always kept at least 2 stolen cars on hand. Tonight, we were on the lookout for an ordinary car, possibly a 65 Mustang or a 68 Cougar. These, I learned, could be hot wired from an engine with as little as a clothes hanger touched to the alternator and then the battery. The only drawbacks were the gas gauge, radio, and horn would not work, and the car would only run until the alternator burned out. Nevertheless, we found the Mustang Blue and very sturdy. GC worked on to get the hood up, and I kept point with the 38. I was instructed to fire of any on the light that was to come in the house. Anyone attempted to stop us from getting the car. I paced in a tight to and from motion, watching closely for any sign of movement from either the house or the yard or the shrubbery flanking the house. I was the perfect sentry for any movement occur or any light flashed on. I would have emptied 6 rounds in the area, if not the person. I had actually only fired a real gun once, and that was into the air. Look at this nigga go. He ready to blow some shit down. Under the cloak of darkness, I heard GC grunt. Once then he lifted the hood. It took him no longer to unlatch the hood than start the car. The engine turned once, turned twice, and then finally caught and rolled to life. It's on, GC said, with as much pride as a brand new father looking for the first time at his newborn child. We slapped hands in a gesture of success and jumped in. Pulling out in the driveway, I noticed the light turned and what I believed to be in the kitchen. I reached for the door handle with every intent to shoot into the house. But GC grabbed my arm and said, "Don't sweat it, we got the car now." On the way back to the shack, I practiced my mad dog stares on the occupants of other cars beside us at stoplights. I guess I wasn't too convincing because on few more occasions I was laughed at, and I got a couple smiles in return. This was definitely an area to be worked on. At the shack, we smoked pot and drank beer and geared up for the mission, which was still not had been disclosed to me, but I was confident in my ability to pull it off. I had never ever felt as secure as I did in the presence of these cats who were growing fonder of me, it seemed, with each successive level of drunkenness they reached. "Cuz, you gonna be down, watch," Leps pronounced, as if telling a son in law school he would be a great lawyer. He stood over me and continued, "I remember your lad used to ride dirt bikes and skateboard acting all crazy and shit. Now you want to be a gangster, huh? You want to tear shit up like a real motherfucker, huh?" His tone was probing, but approving. He was talking with a heated passion and the power of a general father. Stand up, get your ass up. How old you is anyway?" 11, but I'll be 12 in November. Damn, I ain't never thought about being too young. At this time, I stood up in front of Lep and never saw the blow to my head come in from Huck. Bam! I was on the floor on all fours, struggling for equilibrium. Kicked in the stomach, I was on my back, counting stars in the blackness. Grabbed by my collar, I was made to stand again. A solid blow to my chest exploded pain in blue and bold red letters and a black screen. I had now become my mind. Bam! Another one, then another one. Blows rained in on me from every direction. I felt like a pinball. I knew now that if I went down again, I'd be kicked from, and from the way that last one felt, I was almost certain that GC had kicked me with his pointed Stacey Adams. Up until that point, not a word had been spoken. I had heard about being courted, which means to be accepted through a barrage of tests, usually physical, though this can include shooting people or jumped in. But somehow I still my childish mind. I had envisioned it to be a noble gathering, paperwork, arguments about my worth and my ability to regard to valor. In the heat of desperation, I struck out, hit Fly full in the chest, knocking him back. Then I just started swinging with no style or finesse, just anger and the instinct to survive. Of course, this did nothing to help my physical situation, but it showed the others that I had the will to live, and this turn reflected my ability to represent the set in hand-to-hand combat. The blows stopped abruptly and the sound of breathing filled the air. My ear was bleeding and my neck and face were deep red, but I was still standing. When I think about it now, I had realized it wasn't necessarily my strength that kept me on my feet, but ways in which I was hit. Before I could sag or slump or even hit the floor, I was lifted back up to be standing. Trey Ball came in and immediately recognized what had took place. Looking hard at me and the others, he said, "It's time to handle this shit. They out there." Oh shit, the odds on the block. In a flash, Lep was under the couch retrieving weapons I never knew were there. Two 12-gauge shotguns, both sawed off, a pump action, the other single shot, a 410 shotgun, another single shot, and a 4.4 Magnum that had no trigger guard and was broke open to load. GC was now in possession of 38 I had held earlier. Give Kody the pump. Hey, these LA niggas shot out. How you gonna get a little 11-year-old jit a pump shotgun? This nigga gonna pump his shoulder off. Trey Ball's voice echoed over the clanging of steel chambers opening and closing and turning and low hum of music in the background. Check this out, Trey Ball spoke with the calm of a football coach. Kody, you got 8 shots. You don't come back to the car unless they all gone. Righteous, I said, eager to show my worth. These fools have been hanging out for 4 days, hitting people up. Hitting people up means asking where they're from, i.e., which gang they are down with, flag, and then disrespecting every crip in the world. I sat straight back and hung over every word Trey Ball said. Tonight, we're gonna rock their world. Hand slaps were passed around the room and Lep spoke up. If anybody get caught for this, ride the beef, cause ain't no snitching here. Head nods and look affirmance were exchanged, and then the moment of truth. We piled in the Mustang, Trey Ball driving. Lep without a gun. Lep sat next to Trey Ball with the old ugly 4.4 hucked directly behind Lep. Held 410 between his legs, fly next to him, and had the sawed off single 12-gauge shotgun. I sat next to him, and with the Jeep and with the oh my god, and with the pump GC on the left, and with 38. In silence, we strolled down the block after north into the enemy territory. There they go, Lep said, spotting the gathering about 15 people. Damn, they deep too. Look at them fools. I looked at my enemy and thought, tonight, the night I'll never stop until I've killed them all. After driving down another block, we stopped and got out, each checking his weapon, mine being the most complicated. We started out on foot to rid the world of bloods, brims, and in particular. Stealthily, we crept up to where they were gathered, had assembled to promote their set ideology. Trey Ball sat idle in the car and was to meet us halfway after we had worked over the enemy. Hanging close to buildings, houses, and bushes, we made our way, one after another, to spitting instance of the bloods. Our strategy was to just leap out and shoot, but on the way, Lep made the point that the single shot should go first. Then I would follow suit with the 8 shots, Lep with the 5 shots, and the 4.4, and the GC with 6 shots of the 38. Huck and Fly stepped from the shadows and simultaneously weren't even noticed until it was too late. Boom! Boom! Heavy bodies hitting the ground in confusion, yells of dismay, running, and then a second wave of gunfire. By my 6th shot, I had advanced past the first fallen bodies into the street in pursuit of those who had sought refuge behind cars and trees. Forgetting everything, I completely threw myself into battle. A blood who had seemingly gotten away tried to make one last dash effort from his safe area of a car to a porch, I think. I remember raising my weapon, him looking back for a split second. It was like as if we communicated on another level, and I understood who he was, and then I pulled the trigger, and I laid him down. With 1 shot left, I jogged back into the initial site of contact, knowing fully that I had explicit orders not to return with any rounds of my weapon. I turned and fired on the house before we had originally stood. Not 20 paces later, Trey Ball sped to the stop, and we all piled in, frightened from the climax of battle. Back in the shop, we smoked pot and drank more beer. I was the center of attention for my acts of aggression. Man, did you see that little motherfucker out there? Fly said to Huck with an air of disbelief. Yeah, I saw him. I knew he was going to be down. I knew it. Hey man, shut up, cause this motherfucker still snitch on all of us. Silence rang out heavy in my ears, and I knew I had to respond to Lep's reaction. Man, if I get caught, I'll ride the beef. I ain't no snitch. Although my little statement lessened the tension, Lep's word had a most sobering effect. Trey Ball announced my full membership and congratulations were formally given from all. It was the proudest moment of my life. Trey Ball told me to stay after the others had left when I milled around, still high from battle, and although thought of nothing else but putting work in for the set. Check this out, Trey Ball said. You got potential, but cause you eager to learn. Banging ain't no part-time thing. It's a full-time thing. It's a career. It's being down when ain't nobody else down with you. It's getting caught and not telling, killing without caring, and dying without fear. It's the love for your set, hate for the enemy. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And I heard him, and I never forgot nothing he had said from that point on. Also, from that point on, Trey Ball became my mentor, friend, confidant, and closest comrade. He allowed me acts of aggression that made my name soar in alarming effects. The seriousness of what I had done that evening did not dawn on me until I was alone in my house that night. My heart had slowed down to a normal pace and the alcohol and pot had worn off. I was left then with just myself and the awesome flashes of light that lit up my mind to reveal bodies in abnormal positions and grotesque shapes, twisted and bending in arcs that defied bone structure. The actual impact was on my return back past the bodies of the first fallen, my first real look of bodies torn to shreds. It did little to me back then because it was all about survival. But as I laid wide awake in the bed, safe and alive, I felt guilty and ashamed of myself. Upon further contemplation, I felt they were too easily killed. Why they had been out there? I tried every conceivable alibi within the realm of reason to justify my actions. There was none. I slept very little that night.